So there's a lot of people that get involved in science, right? Right? I think we would all agree on that. So then why is it only the same people that are involved in vaccines? And why? Just let me tell you about one. And she retired April or May of last year. Her name's Katherine Jansen, Jansen. She was born in 1958, is the former head of vaccine research and development at Pfizer. She previously led the development of the HPV vaccine Gardasil and newer versions of the pneumonia vaccine, and is working with BioNTech to create COVID-19 vaccines using mRNA. That was approved for emergency use and authorization in the United States on December 11th, 2020. Okay? Her scientific career, the institute she's been with, is Pfizer, Wyeth, University of Pennsylvania, Merck and Company, VaxGen, GlaxoSmithKline, Cornell University, University of Marburg. Now, that may not seem like scientists would probably say, yeah, we're all in, whatever you say, but she's been like the front person for many vaccines. And anybody who knows anything about this Gardasil one in Africa, there was a lot of problems. But here's a little bit about her history, because I can't find who her family is, who her husband is. It mentions her husband in one article, but not who he is, not if she has children, not who her parents are. And I think her father might have been Paul Jansen, but that Jansen, Paul Jansen, spells his name Janssen as opposed to Sen. Just as strange. Let me continue. Jansen, this is Catherine, was born in East Germany. She was frequently unwell, and she was born in 58. She was frequently unwell as a child and suffered several throat infections. The medical treatment she received from her father, antibiotics and codeine, remember that, antibiotics and codeine, inspired her to pursue a career in drug development. Her family fled to West Germany before the Berlin Wall was constructed in 1961. To transport Jansen across the border, her aunt pretended that she was her child, giving her some sleeping pills so that she didn't wake up and tell the border patrol the truth. Then it just says her family settled and she eventually studied biology at University of Marburg. And I looked, I searched for who her family is, who her husband is, who her parents were. Nothing. Except that it said, as I said, remember, it said that the medical treatment she received from her father, antibiotics and codeine, inspired her to pursue a career in drug development. Doesn't say anything about her dad or what her dad did, just that the medical treatment she received from her father. So that would indicate that her father was likely involved in medicine, right? Research. Well, Dr. Paul Jansen, who died in 2003, he was he came up with like he came up with fentanyl. Yeah. So I said, remember, codeine. So, and I'm just, and he spells his name different. It's just strange because she's been involved in so many vaccines with so many companies. Then she retires last year. And let me tell you a little bit about Paul Jansen. And this shouldn't be, first of all, he has on here that a list of the most important Janssen products for human medicine. They have on here Haldol, which we use that in psych for patients that have hallucinations, fentanyl. I mean, there's so many on here. Bramatol. A bunch people wouldn't know, but big ones. And what's interesting is this all happened in the 60s, and the rapid growth of Janssen Pharmaceutica is reflected in the constantly growing employment. The company is by far the largest in the Kempen region. and is regarded as one of the most attractive employers in Belgium. But they merged with Johnson & Johnson. So here's a little bit about that. And I looked him up to find out who his wife was or who their kids were. Nothing on him either. So that's the reason I'm questioning it. And, you know, because of Germany too. Because, you know, there were some scientists that weren't doing such good things during the Holocaust. It seemed to carry on from family member to family member. Just something's not right. I mean, why wouldn't they go on to talk about where was her mother? Why did they drug her to get her across the border? And where was her mother during all that? I can't find anything about that. So, Johnson & Johnson, founded in 1886 by three brothers, Robert Wood, James Wood, and Edward Mead Johnson in New Jersey. This family business grew within a few decades into an international concern. At the end of the 1950s, the American concern was, and I don't know why it has concern, was scouting Europe for pharmaceutical research companies with a promising future. In 1955, it had already acquired the American McNeil Laboratories and a Swiss company called Schillig-Schörny. Agreement was soon reached between the Americans and the Janssen family. After several months of amicable negotiations with the American delegations, which included Harry C. McKenzie, a member of the board of directors of Johnson & Johnson, and Gustav Leinhard, the then chairman of the board of directors, a private contract was drawn up between Johnson & Johnson and the Janssen family in 1961. Under the terms of this contract, which officially took effect in October of 1961, Johnson & Johnson acquired two research companies in Turnhout and Boers, the export businesses, and Janssen's two foreign subsidiaries in the Netherlands and Germany. This merger took place in exchange for a block of shares in the American parent company, which took effect February 1962. Johnson & Johnson officially held all the shares in this company. And then it goes on to talk about the suggestion of the new name Janssen Pharmaceutica, New York, came from Franz van den Berg. Dr. Paul agreed. This has been, Paul would be Paul Janssen. This has been the official name of the company since 1964. Working under the incentive of its parent company in the USA, the Belgian subsidiary now embarked upon a period of even more rapid growth than before. The expansion soon assumed worldwide proportions. It was almost impossible to keep up with the number of successful new compounds, and then it lists a bunch of them. A seemingly endless succession of new drugs were discovered in bursts, each of them breaking new ground, a total of 71 drugs in all, the vast majority of human medicine. Some of them, however, were also designed to give sterling service in veterinary medicine and plant and materials protection. For Johnson & Johnson, the acquisition of the business site and companies at Boers and Turnhout was in the first place an investment and a very lucrative one. So I guess my question is that why can't we find anything out about more about her family, who her parents were, and why would our science always go to the same people for the vaccine making? Because there's tons of people that get into science, so why is it always these same people? Because she was called on in for this last vaccine. She was behind that commodity, that what they called it, Pfizer called it. Yeah, but she's also behind all these other. Why the same people? And coming from, Germany, and then, it's just something's not right. And why was she basically smuggled across the border by her aunt, and there's no information about who her parents are? And yet, Dr. Paul Janssen, huge pharmaceutical company, merged with Johnson & Johnson. He made all these drugs. And then she goes on to be in vaccines. There's just something really shady about everything in regards to science and vaccines.